Welcome to our deep dive into the 10-Day MBA.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
It's like we're auditing an MBA program without the tuition fees and exams and all that.
Exactly. It's a crash course in business thinking, all neatly packaged.
It's packed with so many frameworks and practical tips, and
The toolkit, really?
I like that.
A toolkit.
For deciphering the business world.
Perfect. All right, let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
The 10-Day MBA dedicates a good chunk to marketing. Which makes sense, right? Because if you can't market your product or service, it's like, oh.
Nobody will even know about it.
Exactly.
It's like a tree falling in the forest.
So the book lays out this really practical 7-step marketing process.
Yeah.
And it all starts with understanding your customer.
Right, not just making assumptions about who they are, but really diving deep into their needs, their desires, their buying habits.
The book gives a great example with a gourmet coffee company trying to break into the U.S. market.
They can't just assume everyone who drinks coffee is their target.
Because coffee drinkers are so diverse, right? You've got your casual coffee drinkers.
Your connoisseurs, the folks who just need their caffeine fix.
Yes, exactly. So this company has to figure out which specific segment of coffee lovers will really resonate with their gourmet offerings.
So that's step one, know your customer like the back of your hand.
And then step 2 is all about understanding where your product stands in its life cycle.
Are we talking like the hot new thing or something that's been around forever?
Exactly, because a brand new product needs a completely different strategy than one that's reached maturity or even decline.
So you're saying the marketing playbook changes depending on where your product is in its life cycle?
Absolutely. The book breaks down those 4 stages: introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. Each stage has its own set of challenges and opportunities.
And then there's the competitive landscape. You can't just ignore the other players in the game.
Right. You got to know who you're up against, what their strengths and weaknesses are.
The 10-Day MBA uses this concept of barriers to entry.
Which are basically obstacles that make it difficult for new companies to enter a market.
Okay, so what are some examples?
Well, think about the pharmaceutical industry. Developing new drugs requires massive investment and years of research, so that alone creates a huge barrier for new companies.
So the big players are kind of protected in a way?
In a sense. But even in less extreme cases, understanding the competitive landscape is crucial.
The book suggests using tools like perceptual maps to visualize how consumers perceive different brands.
Right, like imagine a map with strength on one axis and softness on the other, and you plot different paper towel brands on it.
So you can see how consumers perceive each brand relative to its competitors.
Exactly, and that can reveal opportunities for differentiation. Maybe there's a gap in the market for a paper towel that's both strong and soft.
Interesting. So once you've got a handle on your customer, your product's life cycle, and the competition, it's time to figure out how to get your product into the hands of those eager buyers.
That's where distribution channels come in.
So are we talking online stores, brick and mortar retailers?
Yeah. All of the above. The book dives into different channel structures, the importance of understanding channel power dynamics.
Power dynamics.
Yeah, like who has the upper hand in the relationship between the manufacturer and the retailer.
Okay, and then there's the whole battle for shelf space.
Right.
I've heard that grocery stores are super strategic about where products are placed.
Oh, absolutely. Shelf space is prime real estate companies pay big bucks to get their products at eye level or near the checkout counter.
It's all about catching the consumer's eye at the right moment.
Exactly. And once you've secured that coveted shelf space, then it's time to deploy the marketing mix.
Ah, yes, the 4 Ps: product, price, place, promotion.
Precisely. It's all about crafting the right message, using the right tools to reach your target audience.
So we're talking advertising, public relations, personal selling, sales promotions.
And don't forget the digital realm with SEO, SEM, all those online tools that can make or break a product in today's market.
It's a lot to juggle, but it sounds like the 10-Day MBA provides a really solid framework for approaching it all.
It does. And it even dives into this fascinating evolution of personal selling.
Oh, like from the door-to-door salesman with the slick hair and the big smile.
Exactly, to today's more consultative approach, where salespeople position themselves as problem solvers and trusted advisors.
I guess that makes sense. In today's world, consumers are savvier. They can see through those cheesy sales tactics.
They can spot a hard sell from a mile away. But here's a crucial point. The book stresses even the most brilliant marketing plan is worthless if it doesn't translate into profit.
Okay, so you're saying all this marketing magic needs to be grounded in financial reality.
Exactly. You can't just throw money at advertising and hope for the best.
You need to analyze your costs, your pricing your potential sales volume.
Right, because at the end of the day, your marketing efforts need to generate more revenue than they cost.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So now that we've got a taste of the marketing side of things, the 10-Day MBA takes us on a deep dive into finance.
And it doesn't just bombard us with jargon,
It breaks down different business structures in a way that's easy to understand.
like sole proprietorships, partnerships, corporations.
And it lays out the pros and cons of each structure.
So you can make an informed decision about what's best for your business.
Now, I've always been a little intimidated by the whole concept of risk, but the book does a good job of explaining it.
Right. It distinguishes between systematic risk, which affects the entire market.
Like a tide that lifts or lowers all boats.
Precisely. And then there's unsystematic risk, which is specific to a particular company or industry.
So like if a company's CEO suddenly resigns, that would be unsystematic risk.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is how the book connects this to diversification.
Diversification meaning don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. By spreading your investments across different asset classes, you can potentially reduce the impact of those companies' specific risks.
So if one investment takes a hit, the others can help cushion the blow.
Precisely. And then there's this concept of beta, which I always found a little mysterious.
Same here. I always associate it with like beta testing software or something.
Well, in finance, beta measures a stock's volatility relative to the market.
So a high beta means a stock is more likely to swing wildly up and down.
Exactly like a roller coaster ride. And a low beta means it's more stable.
More like a leisurely stroll through the park.
Exactly. And knowing a stock's beta can help investors decide if it aligns with their risk tolerance.
So if you're risk averse, you might steer clear of those high beta stocks.
Precisely. Then the 10-Day MBA tackles this fascinating concept called the efficient market hypothesis.
Okay, now this one always makes my head spin a little.
Well, it basically suggests that stock prices already reflect all available information, making it difficult to consistently outperform the market.
So you're saying there's no magic formula for picking winning stocks?
Not consistently anyway. Of course, there are always exceptions, but the efficient market hypothesis challenges the notion that you can constantly outsmart the market.
So it's more about making informed decisions based on sound research and understanding your own risk tolerance.
Exactly. And on that note, the book dives into how to actually determine what an investment is worth.
Okay, now we're talking.
It covers discounted cash flows, the dividend growth model, price-earnings ratios.
It's like a mini MBA in valuation right there in the book.
It is, and it demystifies complex financial instruments like options.
Options.
Yeah.
Those always sounded so complicated to me.
Well, they give you the right, but not the obligation to buy or sell an asset at a specific price.
Okay, so like you're betting on whether the price will go up or down?
In a way, the book explains calls and puts and even provides an example of how an options trader might profit by anticipating a stock's price movement.
So it's all about timing and prediction.
To some extent, but options trading can get pretty complex and risky.
Then we get to derivatives, which always sounded even more intimidating than options.
They can be complex, but essentially derivatives are financial instruments that derive their value from an underlying asset.
Like a stock or a bond or...
From a commodity like oil or gold.
Okay, so the book explains different types of derivatives like swaps.
Which can be used for risk management or speculation.
Speculation meaning.
Trying to profit from price fluctuations.
Got it. And the book actually ties these derivatives into the 2008 financial crisis.
Right. It shows how the misuse of these complex instruments can have devastating consequences.
So understanding the risks is crucial.
Absolutely. And on that note, the book tackles capital budgeting, which is all about making those big decisions about long-term investments.
So like deciding whether to build a new factory or launch a new product line.
Exactly. And the book breaks down tools like payback periods, which measure how long it takes for an investment to generate enough cash to cover its initial costs.
So basically how long till you break even?
Right. And then there's net present value, or NPV, which factors in the time value of money.
The time value of money, meaning...
$1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow because it can be invested and earn a return.
Okay, so NPV helps you compare the value of investments that generate cash flows over different time periods.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then we get to capital structure, which is all about how a company balances debt and equity financing.
So debt meaning borrowing money and equity meaning selling ownership shares.
Precisely. And the 10-Day MBA introduces this concept called FRICTO, which stands for Flexibility, Risk Income Control Timing, and Other.
Fricto birds.
That's a mouthful. But it's a helpful framework for evaluating different financing options.
Okay, so Fritco helps companies decide how much debt versus equity to use.
Exactly, taking into account all those factors like flexibility, risk income control, timing, and other considerations specific to their situation.
And finally, we delve into the exciting world of mergers and acquisitions.
Where companies combine or acquire other companies.
It's like corporate matchmaking.
In a way. And the 10-Day MBA explains those strategic and financial motivations behind these big deals.
So are we talking about eliminating competition, gaining access to new markets or technologies?
All of the above. The book covers different types of mergers, horizontal, vertical, conglomerate.
And it outlines the key steps involved in the valuation and bidding process.
Right, because those deals involve a lot of financial maneuvering.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, from marketing to finance. And what I appreciate about the 10-Day MBA is that it doesn't just present the theory.
It provides real-world examples and actionable advice.
Exactly. It's like having a seasoned business advisor guiding you through those complexities of each topic,
making it relevant and relatable.
All right, so we've just scratched the surface of marketing and finance.
But there's so much more to explore.
Stay tuned, because we're just getting started with this deep dive into the 10-Day MBA.
Ready to dive into the engine room of a business, where ideas get transformed into actual products and services.
Operations. It's where the rubber meets the road.
Exactly. And the 10-Day MBA starts by breaking down different production systems.
So we're talking like the assembly lines and factories.
Well, not just those. There's also job shops, batch processes, continuous processes.
Each tailored to a specific type of production.
Precisely, like a custom furniture maker might use a job shop where each piece is crafted individually.
While a bakery churning out loaves of bread would probably opt for a batch process.
Exactly, and understanding these different systems helps companies optimize their production flow.
Then there's the whole challenge of scheduling and inventory control. It's like a giant puzzle.
It is, and the book explains how techniques like the critical path method can help managers map out a project's timeline.
So you can identify those crucial tasks that need to stay on track.
Precisely, it's about avoiding bottlenecks and delays, ensuring that everything flows smoothly.
And then there's queuing theory, which always sounded a little intimidating to me.
Well, it's basically about optimizing service by managing waiting lines.
Oh, so like at a busy call center or a theme park?
Exactly. By applying queuing theory, you can potentially reduce wait times and improve customer satisfaction.
Makes sense. And the 10-Day MBA also highlights the economic order quantity model,
which helps companies figure out the optimal amount of inventory to order,
balancing those holding costs against the risk of running out.
Precisely, it's about finding that sweet spot.
So we're talking about minimizing waste and maximizing efficiency, which are like music to any business owner's ears.
Absolutely, but it's not just about systems and numbers. The book emphasizes the human element in setting standards and controlling quality.
Right, because ultimately it's people who are doing the work.
Exactly, and variance analysis is a great tool for spotting deviations from planned costs.
So it's like a financial early warning system.
In a sense, it helps you catch those small problems before they snowball into bigger ones.
And then, of course, there's the whole concept of quality management,
which has evolved significantly over the years.
From just inspecting finished products to a more holistic approach.
Precisely. The 10-Day MBA explores different quality management philosophies.
Like total quality management, or TQM.
Which